My neighbor Ruth is 71 years old. She taught third grade for 28 years in Ohio. She thought she understood retirement. She met with a financial advisor. She ran the numbers. And then she filed for Social Security and found out she had been receiving $387 less per month than she was legally owed for 4 years. Nearly $18,500. Her money, earned, just sitting there. What makes that worse is that the correction was triggered by a law that had already been passed. SSA never called. SSA never sent a letter. She found out because her granddaughter sent her a YouTube video. If you were born before 1963 and are collecting or about to collect Social Security, you need to hear what I am about to tell you, because the same thing could be happening to your account. For 43 years, Social Security used two rules that reduced or eliminated benefits for millions of Americans. Not a bug, not fraud. Official rules. Most people affected had no idea they existed until retirement. Some saw their checks reduced. Others received nothing at all. The two rules were called the Windfall Elimination Provision, or WEP, and the Government Pension Offset, known as GPO. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what they did, whether they affected you, and the 3 steps you should take to make sure every dollar you earned actually reaches your account. Because one group in particular has been missing money for years, widows and widowers. And the final step is the one most people completely skip. The Windfall Elimination Provision targeted people who worked in jobs that did not pay Social Security taxes, but also had jobs that did. Teachers, police officers, firefighters, government employees. Maybe you worked summers. Maybe you had a second career. Those jobs paid into Social Security. But because your Social Security earnings looked small compared with your pension, the formula treated you like a low-wage worker for your entire life. The result was smaller checks, sometimes much smaller. The average reduction was around $480 every month. For some retirees, it was nearly $600. And once that reduction started, it continued every month for the rest of retirement. The government pension offset hit a different group, and in many cases, even harder. It affected spouses and survivors. Imagine your husband paid into Social Security for decades. You expected to receive a survivor benefit after he passed away. But because you also received a government pension from a job that did not pay into Social Security, the rules stepped in. 2/3 of your pension amount was used to reduce your survivor benefit. Sometimes the reduction was partial. Sometimes it erased the entire benefit. More than 800,000 widows and widowers lost all of their survivor benefits this way. Not reduced, gone. A benefit their spouse paid into for decades disappeared because of a formula. For 40 years, lawmakers tried to change these rules. More than 300 bills were introduced. None passed until January 2025. On January 5, 2025, the Social Security Fairness Act became law. WEP was repealed. GPO was repealed completely. And there was another surprise. The law applied retroactively to January 2024. That meant millions of affected retirees became entitled to back payments, not just higher monthly benefits, actual money owed for previous months. Those corrections are being paid as lump sums. The average retroactive payment has been several $1,000s. For some widows and widowers whose survivor benefits had been eliminated entirely, the amount can exceed $22,000. And that is only the back pay. Many people also receive a permanent monthly increase that continues for the rest of retirement. Money they earned. Money that should have been there all along. So why am I talking about this in 2026 instead of 2025? Because fixing millions of accounts takes time. Cases are processed in batches. And when your file ends up near the bottom of the stack, you may continue receiving the old amount. No letter, no phone call, no explanation. Some people received their retroactive payment, but their monthly benefit never changed. Others qualified under both WEP and GPO, and only one correction was applied. The second correction remained buried in the system. And the problem with buried corrections is simple. They do not fix themselves. Social Security will not always flag your case. Unclaimed money does not earn interest. It just sits there waiting for someone to ask the right question. Who should pay attention to this? There are 4 groups. First, public school teachers, especially in states like California, Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Massachusetts, and several others where pension systems often operated outside Social Security. Second, firefighters, police officers, and state or local government employees who also spent part of their careers paying into Social Security through other jobs. Third, federal employees hired before January 1st, 1984 under the Civil Service Retirement System, not FERS.CSRS. And fourth, widows and widowers whose survivor benefits were reduced or disappeared because they received a government pension. If any one of those descriptions sounds familiar, this law was written for people exactly like you. And the next 3 steps are what determine whether the correction actually reaches your account. Step 1 is simple. Log into your My Social Security account. If you do not have one, create it. Once inside, look at your current benefit amount. Then look for any references to WEP or GPO. If your monthly payment has not increased since early 2025, your correction may still be pending. That does not necessarily mean something is wrong. It may simply mean your case has not been processed yet. But you need to know where you stand, because assumptions do not change benefit amounts. Information does. And if you find evidence that the old reduction is still being used, move immediately to Step 2. That step tells you whether your case is complete, pending, or never corrected in the first place. Step 2 is to call Social Security directly. When someone answers, ask one question. I want to verify whether my account has been fully corrected under the Social Security Fairness Act for WEP and GPO. That wording matters. It tells the representative exactly what records to review. Ask whether your case is complete, pending, or still waiting for assignment. If it is pending, ask for the estimated processing date, and ask them to note in the system that you called. If they say the case is closed, but your payment still looks wrong, request a formal reconsideration. That triggers a separate review. Sometimes a second set of eyes is enough to catch something the original process missed. And for widows and widowers, the third step is the most important one of all. Step 3 is specifically for widows and widowers, and this is the step most people never hear about. If your survivor benefit was completely eliminated by the government pension offset, do not assume the correction happened automatically, because Social Security can only reverse benefits that were previously approved. If your original application was denied outright, there may be nothing in the system to reverse, which means a new application may be required. When you call Social Security, ask this exact question. Does my case require a new survivor benefit application under the Social Security Fairness Act? That one sentence can determine whether you receive the full amount you are owed, because in some cases, the money is not waiting on a correction. It is waiting on an application that was never reopened. Think about what that means. 2 widows with identical situations can end up with completely different outcomes. One receives every dollar she is owed. The other receives nothing. Not because the law treated them differently, not because one had a better accountant, but because one person knew which question to ask, and the system never volunteered the answer. That is the frustrating part. These are not secret programs. These are not loopholes. The law already exists. The corrections are already authorized. But none of that matters if your file never reaches the right desk, or if an old denial was never reopened. Sometimes the difference between receiving thousands of dollars and receiving nothing comes down to a single phone call. Remember Ruth, the retired 3rd grade teacher from Ohio. She made the call. She asked the questions. 3 weeks later, $18,500 appeared in her checking account, and her monthly benefit increased by $387. She cried, not because she won the lottery, not because she found unexpected money, because it was already hers. Money she had earned, money that had been sitting inside a system that was never going to call her and offer it back. That is why I make videos like this, because rules change, laws change, and most people never hear about those changes until years later, sometimes too late. So before you close this video, think about one person in your life: a retired teacher, a firefighter, a government employee, a widow, someone over 60 who depends on Social Security. Send this video to them, because one conversation could put thousands of dollars back where it belongs. And if you want practical explanations without the confusion and the political noise, subscribe and turn on notifications. Social Security rules change constantly, and when they do, this channel will help you understand what those changes actually mean for your family. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.